Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Backmarkers Racing League Brobst Enterprises Truck Series, where tonight our drivers take on 125 laps of Iowa Speedway. Here in the booth, I'm Corey Harville with my partner Robert Brobst, and we're here to call every piece of action here tonight. As we watch the countdown to qualifying. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Backmarkers Racing League Brobst Enterprises. He won't shut up. As we await the rest of qualifying, it seems that Michael Boyles is currently sitting on pole with a 23.59 ahead of the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, there was a slight, I guess you could call it mistake, mix-up, whatever you want to call it. And our boys only got one lap of qualifying tonight instead of the usual two. And that is 100% on me because I made the session.
So some tight competition in qualifying tonight. And as we await the final minute, Michael Boyles, who last night in our ReScreened LLC late model series with an unfortunate accident, finishing first at Lime Rock Park, but accidentally getting disqualified after the finish.
Ooh, that's a killer.
The good news coming out of that,
I saw some chatter, but I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, he celebrated a little too early. The track was still hot. He went backwards down an active track, ended up getting the black flag for it. The good news coming out of that, though, is his speed was very impressive in that race. So with him qualifying pole tonight, I expect him to hang on to the front for most of this race.
He's been really fast this whole entire, I guess you could say this whole season. It's what, race 4 now? And I believe he's had pole in two out of 4 of them, at least half. So he's definitely got the pace in that 22 truck.
It's great to see some of these young guys running up front with some of the more experienced drivers that we have.
Yeah, I expect long green runs tonight. Unfortunately, we have a smaller turnout, so I don't think we'll have a lot of chances for guys to tussle and bang doors as we had on other tracks.
So as our drivers take the grid,
So
we do have Michael Boyles sitting on pole with Ryan Nardone in second, Tyler DeTalent in third, Brian Brobst in fourth, Bob Belshaw in fifth, Peter Stewart in sixth, Joe Rapp in seventh, Nick Serif in 8th, Thomas Harkins in 9th, AJ Maglio in 10th, and Kenny Troughton rounding up the rest of our field in 11th. So Robert, what are some insights heading into Iowa tonight? What seems to be the preferred line on the track?
I went and ran about 10 practice laps while I was waiting for we're just waiting for time to pass to get on the broadcast with you. And just talking to a few guys in various voice chats here, it looks like right around the bottom on that yellow line is going to be where they were making speed. But being Iowa, the whole entire track is available for racing. It is a very racy racetrack with all 3 grooves in the corners being available.
Do love a racetrack that's racy. One takeaway I did have from the ARCA Series race last season was that top line around turn 1, there is a meteor-sized divot right in the middle of turn 1 that can easily upset your truck.
I discovered that on my very first practice lap that I made a little while ago. And then I discovered that the wall is also very friendly and likes to give you big bear hugs. So that'll be something to watch if our guys get to riding around up close to the wall, just trying to, make laps tick by. Because with the weird tire model in iRacing, you're not really going to see a lot of tire savings up against the wall. You're going to see more tire degradation than anything up there at most racetracks.
I do agree with that. That top line seems to shred tires on the long runs. Usually with the rear end getting loose with the high throttle input to carry speed through the corner. So it's a tricky balance of speed and tire wear on whether you want to run the low line or high line, and we might see some switching throughout the race. Might see some drivers taking the high line to grid around someone, and then after they get ahead, taking the low line to conserve.
In other notes, from last week, we had the ARCA break. Well, not ARCA break, but we had the secondary incident with AJ Maglio taking out Michael Gudger at the same time that Kenny Troughton had one of his spins. And I would have given him an EOL, but he didn't have a good qualifying effort. And it's almost time for us to go green.
Both Michael Boyles and Ryan Nardone neck and neck going down the backstretch. Michael Boyle holding that inside line going into turn 3, trying to squeeze his way ahead of Ryan, and he seems to, little bump by Ryan Nardone upsets Michael Boyles, and Ryan Nardone takes the low line going into turn 1. Michael Boyles trying to hold him off, taking the speed through turn 2 down the backstretch, creates a little bit of gap, gets in front of Ryan Nardone and holds on to the lead. Not far behind them is the 29 of Tyler DeTalent. Qualifying third, staying there during the start. Just watching both of these drivers, waiting for one of them to make a mistake. And further behind them, we had Brian Brobst in 4th, Peter Stewart 5th, Nick Seraph in 6th, gaining 2 spots on the start. Bob Belshaw 7th, AJ Maglio up to 8th position from 11th. Kenny Troutman in 9th, Thomas Harkins down to 10th, and Joe Rapp dropping to 11th position. It does look like most of our drivers have filed in single file, looking to save those tires as much as possible. We do have a long 125 lap run on this track. Michael Boyles holding a steady
Looking
pace
at the
above.
YouTube chat. I would say, looking at the YouTube chat, got to give Tyler DeTalent's, I'm assuming, dad a shout out. John DeTalent's a faithful watcher of our broadcasts, usually.
All 3 of our top 3 drivers maintaining a tight battle for this lead. None of them wavering.
The only real question you have to ponder when you look at a tight battle for the lead like this is, are these guys pushing each other to waste tire? And you're going to see somebody from a couple spots back, like a Peter Stewart or a Brian Brobst, run them down and take the lead away.
Always a good consideration. Also, the fact of dirty air coming off those trucks gonna make the front end of your truck a little tighter. Probably gonna use a little bit more tire trying to keep up with them. But as of right now, it seems the whole field is maintaining just a steady pace, keeping the same distance between each other. No road movements.
Yeah, as I cycle through. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was cycling through the various people, looking at their previous lap time. Everybody is within a tenth in the whole field, from about a 24.0 to a 24.15. So it's a little over a tenth, but I mean the whole field very tight in terms of pace at the moment.
And not seeing any very new names in the lobby tonight, so most drivers fairly familiar with each other.
I would say the newest name we have is the 07 of Joe Rapp. Rop? I'm not sure how I pronounce it. I apologize because I forgot to ask him. So I'm gonna pronounce it differently every time I say it, I guess. Eventually I'll hit on it, right?
Keep up the charade until you get it right.
long as you do it with confidence.
So another tight battle here for fourth between Brian Brobst, Peter Stewart, and Nick Seraph. Nick Seraph seeming to take that middle to high line in some of these turns. Maybe looking to gain some speed, close that gap. A little bit behind them is Bob Belshaw in the 44, moving back up to 7th.
Oh, somebody's in the wall. One of the top 3 scraped it coming out of 4 there. I'm not sure which. It probably won't be a big detriment to him at this point, though.
But it does look like Tyler DeTalent has dropped back a little.
But coming back to this 4th place battle that we're watching over, the that 91 truck, that Peter Stewart, he is fantastic when it comes to having to save some tire. He's run me down so many times.
And one thing I've noticed about Peter is even if he gets knocked to the back of the field, he seems to always work his way back up front. I believe he did the same thing last week at IRP. I believe he was in an accident, got knocked to the end of the lead lap, and then finished towards the top. I can't remember who won that race last week, unfortunately. I don't have the results in front of me.
It was the 11 truck of Brian Brobst that won that race last week.
That is correct. I do remember.
Our
now.
series sponsor. Riding around in his Brobst Enterprises truck.
But it does seem Michael Boyles and Ryan Nardone have pulled away from Tyler DeTalent just a touch. We're still maintaining a close gap between each other. Currently laps 16 and 125. Still a long ways to go in this track, on this race. And as our drivers seem to carefully knock out some of these laps, we'll go over our points battle for the season. So after 2 drops, in first place is Ryan Nardone at 87 points, Brian Brobst with 86 in second, Steve Loving in third with 85, Tyler DeTalent with 84, Christopher Pendell with 81, AJ Maglio with 76, Nick Seraph with 75, Kenny Troughton with 73, Clifton Simmons with 72, and in 10th place, Bob Belshaw with 67 points. So after those 2 drop races, that top 5 separated by only 6 points.
Yeah, if they maintain as they're running right now, oh man, you're going to see Nardone extend his points lead, I feel, because you got Brian here in 4th. We just had 2 guys that lost connections and fell out of the race, it looks like.
Oh, unfortunate. It looks like Bob Belshaw and Kenny Troughton.
Yep. Well, maybe even 3, because Tom Harkins is 2 or 3 laps down himself, unless he's had incidents.
It does seem he's still on the track, so he is still turning laps.
He must have pitted then. Interesting.
I didn't get any crash notification.
I got connection dropped to upload packet loss.
Oh, unfortunate.
It truly, truly is. DeTalent has crept up on the top 2 again.
He has only less than half a second behind Ryan Nardone, closing that gap.
He had fallen off to over a second. So he must have just been saving a little in the tank there for these boys.
Brian Brobst does seem to have pulled away from Peter Stewart. Currently 1 second ahead of him. Peter Stewart 3 seconds ahead of Nick Serif, and this field seems to spread out from there. Our closest battle is the battle for the lead between Michael Boyles and Ryan Nardone. But Tyler DeTalent not too far, making his way back up towards the front. Michael Boyles' last lap was over a second slower than his best, so starting to see a little bit of fall off on those tires. With all three of these lead cars equidistant, really. It seems some of those tires seem to have dropped off at the same rate. No real change between the three. And it might be a case of once you're within that 0.3 of a second bubble, it might be hard to pass some of these trucks.
These trucks do have the aerodynamics of a red brick. So I don't doubt that there's gonna to try to make a pass happen without a significant tire or luck advantage where somebody messing up, making a mistake.
Yeah, so maybe our driver is not willing to push their luck just yet.
It is real early in this race.
Currently lap 28 of 125. A little less than 100 laps to go.
Looks like Kenny Truton is back. I don't know if he's back on track, though. He is.
Kenny Trouton in that beautiful blue and pink number 25 truck. Just love the way that color combination looks.
I think he's changing it up on you, Corey. I think he's got a black and white truck out here. Oh no, it's pink on your screen, blue on your screen. Who knows? Interesting. But he is right in front of our leaders. So hopefully he bears a little respect being 10 laps down and just lets these guys roll by when they get to him.
Yeah, no real reason to fight at that point. Just let him go, finish your race, get the points, move on to the next one. Not a whole lot you can do due to unfortunate outside circumstances. Tyler DeTalent looks like he rubbed the wall coming out of turn 4. Still staying close to our leaders, maintaining that 3-position battle. Michael Boyles now coming up on Bob Belshaw as soon as you rejoin.
I really do feel bad for Bob because that man is a trooper. He slugs it out week in and week out. He'll have stuff happen to him, and he'll get some lucky dogs and get himself back in the lead lap. And he powers through all of his misfortune for good finishes. Usually, it's very impressive, actually, to be honest with you.
It is. I do agree.
But I don't think he's going to be able to redeem the 12 laps down.
It's very disheartening when something outside of your control happens to your race and pretty much takes you out of it with no say. But possibly the bright side, at least it happened early in the race and not late in the race when he was competitive. Either way, still very unfortunate, and it sucks that it happened to him.
It truly, truly is. But at least he's on the fresh tires, and he's not going to impact this battle for the lead at the moment.
Speaking of, Michael Boyle slowly pulling away from Ryan Nardone up to 0.8 of a second in front. Ryan Nardone currently being challenged by Tyler DeTalent for second place. Michael Boyles has shown that he is pretty good at saving tires on these long runs. He seems to be showing that now, as he steadily increases that gap ahead of Ryan and Tyler.
I'd like to know myself where Michael Boyles went to school and got such markedly improved, because it wasn't too long ago he was not this good, but all of a sudden he is lighting the world on fire here in the Backmarkers League.
Well, I've recently been told that the Boyles brothers have received their driver's licenses. So driving on some of these North Carolina roads will make you a better driver. I can attest to that. Oh, Tyler DeTalent back up into the wall. Unfortunate. Slowing him down to half a second behind Ryan Nardone.
It's a shame because he's got this fancy new scheme. It's a Ted Musgrave TRD Racing throwback.
It is a good-looking scheme.
That scheme was put together by one of the great painters we have here at Backmarkers. He's just he had been running a few races with us, so I don't know what he's got going on. He's been busy for a couple of weeks. But Blake Hoppy with his Break Hard Designs paint company that he's doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
I had him do a scheme for me for Darlington in the trucks last season. It was a Terry Labonte throwback scheme.
Yeah, I've recently commissioned a couple paints myself from him that I plan to debut at Martinsville for a local business showcase.
Oh.
Very excited for that.
In which series?
Late models in ARCA.
Oh, both. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I did think about doing a truck scheme, but I decided to run Martinsville in trucks after I had commissioned the paint schemes. So I'll stick with my default scheme for that one. So speaking of upcoming races, next week we are at Talladega Super Speedway, 57 laps.
Anything could happen, and hopefully we get a good turnout to put together a real exciting one for us.
Yeah, plate race is always one of those unpredictable turnouts. You never know who can come out on top. And then another tricky race.
Oh, I'm sorry. That race, we're going to have broadcast back on the Team Goon Squad broadcast because you're going to run that race, if I recall.
I am correct. Actually, the next 3 races will be Talladega, the Charlotte Roval, and Martinsville Speedway.
Is that the next 2? Wow.
It is. I didn't know, but according to the graphic.
I thought they were spaced out.
And then rounding off our season, we do have Pocono Raceway, 50 laps. North Wilkesboro, that'll be an exciting 125 laps. Darlington, and then closing the season out at Homestead, Miami, where we will name our champion.
Yeah, I've been complained at a bit from Brian because he's going on vacation. He's going to miss Homestead, and he's like, I want to try to run for points. You should reschedule that. And I'm like, it's out of control at this point. We can't be rescheduling a race.
Yeah, one of the reasons we do have those 2 drop races. One of the reasons we do have those 2 drop races is we understand that life happens. Not everyone's able to make every single race on the schedule. So we try to accommodate our drivers and help everybody out. Taking a look back at our leader, Michael Boyle is currently 1.2 seconds ahead of Ryan Nardone, who seems to have pulled away from Tyler DeTalent, who has made contact with the wall a couple times.
Yeah, everybody's got themselves onto a little island at this point, it looks like. Peter D. Stewart's got a little company from Tom Harkins, but Tom Harkins is a couple laps down.
Tom Harkins, a new driver to Backmarkers and iRacing in general. Talking to him a few weeks ago. The first race of the season, maybe not the first race, I think it might have been Atlanta, was his first competitive race ever on iRacing. He says that he has been
on the
a
one
spotter.
side of the coin. On the one side of the coin, that is a little haunting. On the other side, he's doing quite well.
Yes, he's still learning. He's been putting in the work. He is a part of Empire Esports, Talent to Talent Racing. So he's always looking to become a better racer, asking everybody for any tips and insights we can give him. But he has shown a good amount of improvement over the past few weeks, especially with no on-track racing experience. But he did say that he has been spotting for a few years now. So a lot of the concepts he was familiar with.
Well, that's good.
So no doubt helping that transition from the spotter booth to the driver's seat.
Just watching Peter D. Stewart just making the jump in turn one lap by lap here. Up by the wall, hitting that giant pothole you mentioned earlier in the broadcast.
As we continue to look down the field, it seems we have Joe Rapp in 6th, AJ Maglio 7th, Nick Seraph in 8th. It does seem that everyone has kind of spread out, as you said earlier, onto their own island, just knocking out laps. Oh, looks like we do have a pitter, Ryan Nardone, pitting in on lap 53.
Brian Ropes following
behind him.
Those guys are on my vintage racing teams, and I think they're in the same chat together, so there might be a little bit of strategizing behind this decision.
Not gonna lie, pitting a little earlier than I expected some of these drivers to come in. I was expecting lap 65 to 70. Seems they're 10 laps ahead of that mark.
I guess they feel that the tire gain is going to be worth it.
15 seconds for
or
each.
The lap time gain.
No doubt taking all 4 tires. Tyler to Talent now in the pits. Michael Boyles remaining on track.
You don't want to give up too much time. These guys should come out and they should be able to rip about a second a lap faster than what they were doing before they pitted.
Now our leader, Michael Boyles, is coming in.
Yeah.
We saw Peter Stewart, Joe Rapp, AJ Maglio, Nick Seraph on the lead lap. Still yet to pit.
Nardone really forced the hand of the other guys in the top 5 range there. Joe Rapp just peeled off to go down pit road on my screen here.
Hey, Ryan Nardone looking to jump ahead of Michael Boyles.
I think our broadcast might be a half a lap behind. I've got it up on my other screen, and it seems behind. So I apologize for spoilers. Or maybe it's just tape delayed in total. Oh no, Brian Ropes got a penalty, I guess, because he's back down pit road.
Oh no.
Yeah, he did.
It does seem Peter Stewart has taken over the lead. He has yet to pit along with Nick Seraph. Ryan Nardone currently ahead of Michael Boyles. Coming out of that pit stop ahead. Michael Boyles working his way past Kenny Troughton. Kenny Troughton multiple laps down. Ryan Nardone currently working his way through traffic.
Oh, we got a suicidal maniac to the infield out of 2. Someone just crashed hard.
Looks like the
'07 of Joe Rapp.
quick replay. Looks like just getting loose coming out of turn 4, hitting that inside wall hard. Not bringing out the yellow flag though. Track's still green.
Yeah, iRacing doesn't throw the yellows on it unless you're in the way, I suppose you could call it. And that speeding penalty was a race killer for Brian Brobst. He's 4 laps down now.
Yeah, these small traps, definitely not one you want to take a penalty on.
Oh, for sure. Definitely not.
Ryan Nardone has worked his way past our leader, Peter Stewart. Tyler the Talent now worked his way back onto the lead lap. Peter Stewart roughly a second and a half slower than everyone else on the track. I fully expect him to come in and take fresh tires.
I think he's going to ride this thing out until about lap 75 to 80 range. I think he's committed to the strategy here, and he's just going to ride it out and see what happens.
Joe Rapp taking that quick repair back on track. Unfortunately,
Nick
5
Seraph
laps
coming
down.
down pit road. Yeah, the tow truck time it's not a quick one on any racetrack, especially not at a short track like this.
Our leader, Peter Stewart, now heading towards the pit.
I tell you, without a caution, the big winner on this pit cycle is Ryan Nardone, who went from 1.5 behind to, it looks like he's going to be about 1.5 to 2 seconds ahead of Michael Boyles, who was our race leader before pit stops.
Yeah, that 2-lap undercut really seemed to give him enough momentum to get past Michael Boyles.
When this all cycles back around and through. Nardone even having the buffer of AJ Maglio in the middle of him.
And after that cycle of green flag pit stops, only 4 drivers currently on the lead lap. Ryan Nardone, Michael Boyles, Tyler DeTalent, and Peter Stewart. And our leader, Ryan Nardone, quickly closing in on Peter Stewart, looking to put him a lap down.
I don't think he'll be able to unless Peter's struggling on these fresh tires. Peter's going to have about a 10-lap rubber advantage on him. Yeah, just that last lap by Peter was 0.2 faster, so he's hoping for a yellow for sure, but I don't think he's at risk of being lapped yet.
He's sort of in that safe spot of last car on the lead lap, so if he does get lapped, and there is a caution, he will be the lucky dog gaining that position back. But not looking very likely for a yellow.
There's at least 3 guys hoping for a yellow flag right now. Maybe more.
Yeah, I would say Peter Stewart, AJ Maglio, Thomas Harkins, and Nick Seraph all either about to go a lap down or 1 lap down. So any of those 4 could make their way back onto the lead lap and start to challenge these leaders. But the way this race has looked so far, pretty clean driving from everyone besides that one hiccup from Joe Rapp, which didn't bring out the caution. So we might get another 55 green laps on this. There hasn't been a
I
whole
don't think
lot
we
of beating
see
and
a
banging
yellow.
throughout this track.
Which is both great and unfortunate at the same time. Oh, Bob Belshaw off the pace down the back. But he's probably just slowing down, getting out of the way, letting the leaders by.
It looks like he bringing it into the pits as well.
Oh.
What was once a 1.5 second lead is now down to 0.6 seconds. Michael Boyles closing that gap between him and Ryan Nardone, looking to retake that lead, which he held on to for so long in that first stretch. Tyler to Talent also closing in, now 2.5 seconds back. Is back on track, taking a 10-second pit stop. Are we just
grabbed
closing
him
in?
right side tires.
Michael Boyles down to 0.3 of a second, steadily hunting down Ryan Nardone.
Bob just rejoined right in front of the leaders. That's unfortunate.
Throwing a bit of a wrench in this battle for the lead.
And it's unfortunate for his teammate, in multiple facets of the word teammate, Ryan Nardone, because he's going to be putting that arrow hurt on him. Oh. Looked like Ryan took the high line through that corner.
Possibly looking to maintain that speed coming out of the corner and down the stretch.
He could be trying to get a run, or he could be just trying to let Michael have that low line and see if Michael does what he did last week and spins out below somebody.
Michael Boyles ever present in the rearview mirror of that 28. Every turn just right behind him, taking a slightly different line down to the bottom, trying to get some of that clean air on the nose, saving those tires and getting grip going around the turns. As we approach lap 80, lots of time, but also not a lot of time. So, possibly want to start looking at making a move towards the lead and try to hold that position for the rest of the race. It seems like once you're in front, it's kind of easy to hold on to.
What really impresses me is these guys pitted, what, 20 laps ago?
It was around lap 60, 65.
Ish. And their lap times are already way back up into the range of what they were doing before they pitted 20 laps ago. Where on that first run, it took them the whole 60 laps to get there. You know?
But no doubt some of these drivers pushing harder. For our top three, their last lap.
These guys are pushing harder, or they're driving a little more conservatively, trying to save it and make it last to the very end.
That is also a possibility.
They might have got some distressing news when they pitted about their tire wear.
You definitely don't want to be hanging on threads at the end of the race. You want
I've done that once or twice
control
myself.
in your truck. It is not a good feeling.
Yeah, you come down, you change the tires, and then you look at your tire wear results after that run, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah, that is much lower than I expected.
I need to back it down. Or I won't have a tire to finish on.
Yeah, tire saving always one of those tricky things to get right, because you want to conserve, but not conserve too much to where you're off pace. You want to stay with the leaders, but not overdrive. So definitely the name of the game, and definitely a very hard skill to acquire.
I have burned myself to the point of ridiculousness in the past, trying to conserve tire and ended up like 5 laps down or something.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Right fronts and I aren't the best of friends.
I think it was a race in the Monday Night League before they were the current late model league. We were trying to do a no extra tires in the pit stop, full length, like 150 lap race. And I decided I was going to be a half a second or so off the pace a lap to save tire and be good at the end. And everybody else was just getting after it. And I was 5 laps down, and I got run into and wrecked.
Quick intervention. It does look like Michael Boyles has challenged Ryan Nardone at the bottom of the apron. Getting around Thomas Harkins, splitting the lap car. Michael Boyles inching his way slightly ahead of Ryan Nardone, working that bottom line.
We'll see how this works out of 4. It gets real tight out of there.
Both of these drivers just neck and neck coming across the line. Neither of them wanting to give up that top spot. Michael Boyles does work his way around the 28, taking that lead away from him. Ryan Nardone still present, dropping down to the bottom. Michael Boyles holding on to that lead coming out of 4. Creating a small gap between the two.
Something I see that's pretty interesting is the gap that Peter D. Stewart has managed to open up.
Has done the 15
seconds. He's made up like 7 seconds since he came out of pit road.
That was on the verge of being lapped, and now about halfway back around the track.
He's not going to catch the leaders and win this race by any stretch, but he is thoroughly safe from being lapped.
Yeah, that is a comfortable 4th place. Michael Boyles coming up on the lap. Kenny Troughton.
Kenny Troughton got in the wall when he let the leader go by. At least that's what it sounded like. I could be wrong.
Yeah, there was a small brush around that turn. Sticking to that high line,
I've been
but getting
wrong
a little
before,
tight.
and I will be again. Oh. 25. I don't know if him and Nardone made contact or if he just noticed the second place truck right to his inside and yanked it to the right to keep away from him.
Ryan Nardone dropping 0.8 of a second behind Michael Boyles. Michael Boyles still with the faster lap of the 2.
You know, as I sit here commentating, doing race control on this race, I do get the that itchy trigger finger, that NASCAR style, just like, you know, spice it up, make it interesting. But I'm gonna be a good boy.
Might be time for a lap 93 competition caution, you know?
That's right.
Let's close this field back up a little.
These guys wouldn't appreciate that, and I wouldn't feel good about myself having done it. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it seems even on road courses, competition cautions aren't very well received. Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask the top half of the field, they don't want a competition caution. If you ask the bottom half of the field, they do want a competition caution. So,
look, I can admit, I myself, I am fat, I am out of shape. Road course is a lot of work. I need that break. Looks like Tom Harkin's coming off of pit road.
16-second stop, possibly taking more tires.
He went and got himself another set of tires for Mr. Feelgoods. He had pitted on lap, I think it was 16 originally, so it makes sense.
Taking a look at some of the action through our field. Seems to be a good mix between lap cars. Everybody kind of all over the track, passing each other, not really gaining position.
Everybody being quite considerate here tonight. Giving each other room, not really challenging too hard.
Looks like Kenny Troughton is coming into pit. Last pit on lap 17 when he disconnected.
Yeah, he's got to be on the edge of being out of gas. And he's been in the wall a few times, so you got to come down, get that thing straightened out, fixed up for Mr. Feelgoods and get these last 25 laps over with. I've been in that situation. It's no fun.
Yeah, if you're at that point, might as well make the car feel good.
Right?
Definitely don't want to be holding on to
Appreciate him being a trooper and working hard for that top 10 finish.
It's very easy to get discouraged when you have a bad race and just decide to park it. So good on him for maintaining composure and finishing out this race.
Oh. Tom Harkins just ran into DeTalon entering turn 1. Put him in the wall.
Oh, Tyler DeTalon likely not too happy about that. He was keeping a nice 1 second gap between our two leaders. We have reached the lap 100 mark, 25 laps to go. Michael Boyle is currently 1.3 seconds ahead of Ryan Nardone, comfortably holding that lead. Every lap, putting up a faster lap time than the second place truck.
Not by much, but he is doing it. Oh, Tom Harkins passing Nardone. Looks like he'll be back on the 3 laps down here shortly.
It's like the 07 of Joe Rapp has entered the pits.
Listening to the radio, it sounded like he missed it last time by, because he had keyed up and apologized to somebody from where he was on the apron and his foot slipped and he shot back onto the track in front of someone.
Yeah, taking green flag pit stops, not always the most comfortable thing to do on a racetrack.
Especially one with such an awkwardly shaped, turn 3 and 4 and pit road complex is Iowa. It's extremely tight to make that left-hand turn. And race vehicles at a low speed have the turning radius of a moon sometimes.
Yeah, there's always that fear of that transition down to the apron, upsetting your car and just turning you sideways, which is really embarrassing and you never want to happen to you.
Oh, Nardone just put it in the wall a little bit.
Yeah, dropping down to 2 seconds behind Michael Boyles, who currently has been passed by Tom Harkin. Tom Harkin on those fresh tires.
He was just giving Tom a little bit of direction on what to do when he got to him.
Yeah, that open radio communication, such a vital tool to use in the middle of a race.
It's always nice to see the communication between guys. Because then, everybody knows what's going on. You're not going to have an incident, hopefully. They can still talk to each other and screw it up and crash into each other. But that's just for us to point and laugh.
It's one thing to say something and another thing to do it. So you still have to execute your plan.
Exactly. That's why they practice so much in the NFL, Oh, we got a gaggle of cars in front of our leader here. We got Nick Serra, Bob Belshaw, and Tom Harkins. Tom on those freshies, he's gone from the gaggle now, but it's Nick and Bob.
Michael Boyle still one of the faster trucks on track with a 24.97, 0.4 of a second over Ryan Nardone, stretching that gap to 3 seconds.
Michael Boyle is taking the risky play with these lappers.
Making easy work of those lap trucks, cutting through, getting some open air, looking to walk away.
Had me holding my breath for a hot second there, but it did look a little easier than it probably was. Ooh.
Oh, Nick Serra getting a little loose coming out of 4. Or 2, I apologize.
Bob come off the wall there a little bit more than Nick was ready for, and he kind of yanked the wheel, and he could have wrecked it, but he held on to it. At this point in the run, that truck is probably, the right front's probably dead, and it's probably tighter than, well, there's no YouTube friendly comparison.
Ryan Nardone falling back to 3.5 seconds behind Michael Boyle, still 2.7 seconds over Tyler DeTalent after that unfortunate incident between Tyler DeTalent and, was it Kenny Troughton, I believe?
No, it was Tom Harkins.
Tom Harkins.
Who, got him with the right rear as he was going into one and put him in the wall.
Oh, teammates.
At least they're in the same voice chat so they could yell at each other. It's the benefit of our teammate situation.
Yeah, we'll view that as a coaching opportunity for future races.
You were talking about how new he is. It definitely is a coaching opportunity. The talent can't be too upset. He's got third pretty well locked down, unless a super late yellow happens and Peter D. Stewart or somebody can do something about it.
Tyler DeTalent last week a 5th place finish after running in second, third for most of the race. Got into an accident, dropped down to the back of the lead lap, worked his way back up to a top 5 finish.
Yeah, that unfortunately he got loose out of 2 at IRP and come across the 22's nose, the Michael Boyle's truck, and Maglio rounding out our top 5.
With 10 laps to go, Michael Boyle's comfortably in the lead, still running a 1/10 of a second faster than Ryan Nardone. Everybody seems to be comfortably in their position, just knocking out these last 10 laps, ready to finish this race.
I gotta say, I'm happy to be up here in the booth talking to you instead of out there on track. I'd be quite miserable. I hate running a full 125 lap green race.
It's actually the opposite for me. I'm a fan of endurance racing.
Everybody's got a thing.
Yep. So the beautiful thing about iRacing is everybody has their own flavor.
I was talking to Nick Serra across the radio. They must have come close to each other when he was passing him. Oh, Nick in the wall.
Oh, Nick Serra making some contact. Seen that plenty of times throughout the entire field tonight. So easy to run up into the wall. As you mentioned earlier, these turns they seem to get tight coming out of them, and you carry so much speed. It's so easy to overshoot just a little.
Not so horrible, but the exit of 4, it looks like it opens up with the shape of the race. The way that you have to drive through 3 and 4, it actually gets supremely just real tight and twitchy on the back end of the vehicles.
Michael Boyle is coming to the line, knocking that counter down to 5 laps to go. No doubt telling him just to hit his marks, maintain his position, don't over push. In a comfortable 6-second lead.
Yeah, he has come out here and he has maintained his tires. I think that last time by, I'll wait till we see Nardone cross the line here. He is
like 7
tenths a lap better. Yeah, that's
incredible.
Crazy,
Running a 24.92 on,
I wonder what Nardone did
70 lap old tires.
Because they're only 2 laps older than what the 28's got there. Unless the 28's just making laps. It could just be making laps. Because he just picked up 3/10 that lap. There's no real pressure on him. He's got, 7 seconds ahead, 5 seconds behind. He's on his own little island.
Yeah, just a showcase from Michael Boyle on tire conservation, taking chances when you need to, not over pushing. Which, again, he did the same thing last night in the late model race. He saved his tires extremely well, worked his way up to the front, and just held on to it.
As our white flag, presented by Barney the Flagman. The next flag will end the race. No chance of a yellow at this point.
Michael Boyle's coming into turn 3, rounding 4. Coming on the front stretch. And the 22 of Michael Boyle's wins the Backmarkers Racing Iowa 125.
Let's see if he does the full cooldown lap to make sure he doesn't get DQ'd tonight.
I'm sure that's a lesson he will never forget. Ryan Nardone finishing second, Tyler Talent top 3.
Yes.
And Peter Stewart, our final car on the lead lap, coming across the line in 4th place.
Oh, Michael Boyles has done 2 cooldown laps and is working hard to make sure he is not disqualified. I guess while we wait for him to run more cooldown laps, we could interview Ryan Nardone.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pull him in.
All right. Hey, Ryan, it's the boys in the booth. You got us?
Got you guys.
All right. That was a long grind of a race. How are you feeling?
Not bad. I think we just got a junk set of Goodyears from the tire trailer.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh yeah, both times there was right front. Just we were abusing it all night, and I couldn't take care of it. So
that was something that we had noted. Michael Boyles seemed to have done much better than pretty much anyone else.
Yeah, I think he had it. He had it down. He was really fast out front.
He must have actually practiced and tried.
Yeah, no, I ran a few laps this morning, and then ran a little bit later this afternoon, and thought I felt okay, but yeah, I don't know. We were just off.
I mean, there's no real hatred inside of that comment. You're still finishing second. You're still going to be the points leader, leaving Iowa with the 2 drops.
Yep, exactly. That was the thing Jacob was telling me was big picture here, because I wanted to pit again towards the end, but he wouldn't let me.
It's always good to have a spotter telling you no.
Exactly, especially for new tires. So,
do you have? I know you've got a couple of sponsors you like to thank.
Yeah, give a shout out to first of all Jacob again for being on the box, Vintage Racing for bringing me on board this year, Team 53 as well for everything that they do. So, appreciate all of them.
We're going to let you go and grab a hold of Tyler DeTalente.
Appreciate it, guys.
Hey, Tyler,
Corey
it's
and
the
Robert
boys
in
in
the
the
booth. You
booth.
hear us?
Yeah, what's going on?
We gave your dad a shout out earlier. Now we got to give him another one because you're in the booth with us, right?
Absolutely.
Or at least I assume that's your dad.
Yeah, he he's always excited to watch him and mom, and just gives him gives him a little bit of entertainment for a Tuesday night.
So, Tyler, a long, grindy race with a third place finish. How did the truck feel out there tonight for you?
Well, to be honest, it was pretty good, off the rip, and I guess just these long runs is like driving a damn school bus. You just couldn't get it to turn. You're trying to back up the corners enough to get enough run off the exit, but yet the wall creeps up on you a little bit. But yeah, no, I didn't really have anything for Michael after that pit stop. No one really did. Me and Ryan got close there with maybe within a second, and then just couldn't. I just couldn't really do anything else. I feel like I gave it what I had.
Yeah, it seemed to be a common theme throughout the whole field. Everyone just kind of pushing at the beginning, falling off, and just being on their own little islands throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, I tried not to overly push at the beginning, but there was one time I just got loose and I lost some time on them guys, so I backed it up and then tried to catch back up. But yeah, it's just a hard game to play, and sometimes you don't come out on top.
Yeah,
I was watching on my own, or I was watching on my own screen there. I didn't know any commentary for what happened with the Tom Harkins incident.
Yeah, that was one of those rookie teaching moments. He was on fresh tires, and I went outside. I tried to give him plenty of room, and he went in to one, and some reason locked up the brakes, and I just he apologized and everything, and I just trying to let him know, as I gave him more than enough room, and he's definitely got to, if he knows he's got the tires, he's got to give and a lap down, racing the lead lap guys, he's just got to give these guys some room. It's just a little bit of etiquette things you pick up as you run, and I'm sure he'll learn and he'll come back better next time.
All right, you got any sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank Brobst Enterprises for sponsoring the league. I have fun running these trucks with these guys. Got to thank Break Hard Designs for this sick Ted Musgraves throwback I just come up with today, actually. And my guys at Evil Empire and TDR, just, everybody that helps try to get better in these races. And thank you guys in the booth for throwing down on the broadcast. I can't wait to go back and listen. And thank my parents for watching and everybody else who tunes in. Without y'all, we couldn't really do this, or would have no reason to do this.
Well, thank you, Tyler. Tough battle out there, but a nice top 3 finish. Congratulations, man.
Yep, thanks, buddy.
All right. Let's
cool. Michael Boyle's our winner.
Yeah.
Michael Boyle's
right,
Corey and
Michael,
Robert in the booth. You got us?
Yep, how's it going?
Going great. Congratulations on your win. Down with the,
Oh yeah, thank the Lord. Oh man, that was I had to make sure not to drive backwards at the end of that race.
Yeah, a quick lesson learned.
We watched you do like 4 cooldown laps.
Yeah, I had to make sure. I didn't want to do that again.
An incredible showing out there tonight, Michael. You just had so much speed on that track, and no one could really contend for you on that long run. What was your secret into maintaining those tires?
Well, this obviously being easy on the exits, obviously. Definitely probably using most of the track. Definitely trying to do that. I've been looking at some videos on like how well it truly helps to be using the whole track and on all these iRacing tracks. So thank the Lord I got to see that video, and I got to be able to put it into action tonight. And yeah.
Yeah, it seems that bottom line was the preferred line for most of our drivers tonight. Was that the tire saving line of choice?
Yeah, because I was asking Peter and Nick, what were you thinking about? Like, what's the best lane to save tires? And he told me that Jacob said that apparently with this tire model, the shorter, like, or the lower I guess you get, or the shorter amount of track that you use, it's better for your tires. So, but thank the Lord I used that, but it was also the fastest lane. So for sure. And
yeah, on those long runs, on those last few laps, you were definitely pulling away from the rest of the field. With a win tonight, going into next week, what are your thoughts going to Talladega?
Kind of convenient for him to cut out now, I suppose, instead of during the race. I think he was trying to ask you a question about your long run strategy, and just especially after the pit stop, that the patience it took to run with the 28 and run him down and make that pass for the lead and eventually the win.
Yeah, thank the Lord. I was like, before that, even the pit stops, I was just seeing what lanes they were running. I was like, are they going faster? But thank the Lord, I just stick to what I was doing. It actually helped that really well. So, but that battle with him was a ton of fun. I think we hit a few times, but it was just good old beating and banging and roughing them up. But yeah, it was a ton of fun, and thank the Lord we got the W. So
yeah, congratulations after an impressive show. And anyone you want to shout out to tonight?
Oh yeah, first off, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I couldn't do anything without him. My parents, my teammates at Impact. I always appreciate them. I'm glad they're on our team. Impact brand, and that's about it.
All right, well, Michael Williams, again, congratulations on the victory tonight.
We got our statistics update with our 2 drops. Nardone is our points leader by 5 points with these first 5 races in the books. To Talent being in second with 125, Brian Brobst third at 124, AJ Maglio 4th in points, followed by Nick Serif running out our top 5 in points with 113 points. As we head into next week's wildcard race, otherwise known as Talladega.
So probably good for our drivers who did show up tonight to get as many points as possible to try to hang on to after a wild next week. Who knows how that can go. But from Iowa Speedway, I am Corey Harville with my partner Robert Brobst. We are signing off for tonight, and we will see you next week in Alabama as we take on the 2.5 mile Talladega Super Speedway.